What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and you check out the content. So, in this video, man, I want to discuss Carmelo Anthony, like the statements he made about Victor Wembanyama, basically saying that he has never seen a young player as good as Victor Wembanyama, at so early in his career, and that includes, LeBron James. So he's putting Victor Wembanyama over top of LeBron James, right? And so, and like I said, Victor Wembanyama, he is hitting the ground. He hit the ground running, and he's having he only been in the league for 3 years, and now he's in the Western Conference Finals. So that's big for somebody who's only been in the league for 3 years, right? But what I want to do is I want to react to Carmelo's statements, and then I want to follow it up with my own statements, man, because I'm gonna play his statements, then I'm gonna follow it up with my own statements, because I think with Victor Wembanyama, he's a great basketball player, but I think that I want to hold off and on all the accolades and all the giving him his flowers and stuff like that, because I want to see what is he made of, as far as like once the teams and the players around the league adjust to him and they find chinks in his armors and find ways to attack him, like then what is he going to do? Like, will he be able to adjust his game and carry his game to the next level, to another level, right? Because I think right now, what you're seeing right now is like his immediate impact. You're not seeing like what he can do to, like I said, like to alter his game and adjust his game, and what he's willing to do to get better and to be that dominant basketball player. Right now, he's dominating because he's the biggest guy in the league, and guys, this teams are going to adjust to that, and so when they adjust, I want to see what is, that's when we'll see what his game is really made of.
The Spurs took a 1-0 lead after a double overtime thriller last night. You were in the building. First, I just want to talk. What is Wemby like in person, and what was it like to see a young player? And you played at OKC in one of the most hostile environments in the NBA, come out and do what he did.
Oh, bro, we just seen a lot of nice guys come through this league. Like we just seen the best of the best. We don't play against the best of the best. We pay homage to who came before us. We stand on them shoulders of giants. With that being said, we've never seen nothing like
nothing like the alien.
Man, we've never seen nothing like Wemby.
All right, and like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking Wemby or anything, right? But just think about this. When Kareem was in the league, you had guys his size who could put up and offer resistance. And then so that mean that Kareem had to make adjustments to his game, and Kareem had to, like Kareem played against Wilt Chamberlain. In the league, when Kareem was in the league, there was Bob Lanier, Artis Gilmore, and what's the guy name? Gus Johnson. It was a lot of big guys who could get physical with him and and challenge him. Same thing with Shaq, right? Shaq, even though Shaq was dominant, I think, in my opinion, Shaq was the most dominant basketball player of all time. Maybe him or Wilt Chamberlain, but I give it to Shaq. But anyway, even with Shaq, when Shaq was dominant, you had Dave Robinson in the league, you had Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone. You had guys, and those are just, and other guys, like it wasn't easy. So Shaq had to, they hacked Shaq and they was physical with him. I want to see what happens when you meet power with power, right? Because right now, Victor Wembanyama is being allowed to, like, he's basically finessed, but he hasn't ran up against any power forwards, and teams are not playing him physical like basketball is not physical like it was back in the day. So when this league adjusts to him, I want to see how he handles that before I start giving him his flowers and everything.
Yeah, what it is, man. This guy's in his first 3 seasons, like We don't know what he's going to be. He was mad that Shea got the MVP last night. He came out. He stood on business. He said it. I'm mad. I don't like that he got it. That's supposed to have been mine. Right? So people going to talk about the how tall he is and what he could do. Nah. We're going to talk about the mindset that he got. We've never seen no young players coming in this league saying, I want the MVP. It should be mine. Yep. I'm going to take it.
All right, let me, like I said, I think it's a bit premature to I like the mindset, but I think it's a bit premature because you haven't seen him face any challenges, any adversity, right? You don't have anybody in the league right now that like this. It's not the same in the league like it was back in the day. So I want to see how he goes up against that. Of course, yeah, you want him to have that mentality, you know, being the biggest guy, the tallest guy in the league. I'm going to dominate. He better say that. You know what I mean? He better have that mindset that I want to dominate. But I want him to have keep that same energy when this league adjusts to him and they start bringing in some guys who are going to play him physical and wear him out throughout the game. That's what I want to see. That's when, you know, like, because all the other greats had to go through that. They had to adjust to the league instead of, you know, they didn't hit the ground running and, you know, so that's my deal with that.
Defensive players, this and that. My team gonna win 60 wins. We don't hear stuff like that. We heard that from Muhammad Ali. You get what I'm saying? And we fell in love. We love Muhammad Ali for his brashness. This ain't brashness right here. This is a young kid who really understands what it means to be the face of the NBA internationally, globally. He understands that and everything that comes with that. And I've never seen nothing like that, champ.
This is a guy who realized that he's 7 feet 5 inches tall, the tallest player in the league. And it's like I said, it's so easy right now to say the right things when you're the tallest player in the league. And you don't have anybody around the league right now. Not a lot of players that's going to be able to offer him and challenge him and to make him do different things. Like Kareem had to learn that sky hook, like I said, because they changed the game. One of the reasons why he learned that sky hook is because he had to find a way to get his shot off because he wasn't backing nobody down. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7 feet, I think it was 7 feet, 7'1", something like that. But he couldn't back people down. So he would get his position and then he would throw that sky hook. But he wasn't backing people down. So he had to adjust to the league. You know, like in college he was dunking on people and all this, you know, and all this other stuff until they took the dunking out of the game. But he had to adjust his game. And so that's how he became great because the game was set up so in a way where he had to elevate if he wanted to have any type of success.
He caught a lob. He was standing on the ground. Check was on his left arm. He just reached up and dunked. Like, I've never seen nothing like that. Stupid. And then, you know, just to add on to that, the three at the end of the game. Jack, you know how pressurized that situation is in that moment to come down and shoot a transition tray. Nah,
all right. He came down and he hit a transition 3, right? But again, if you getting beat up, if guys are playing you physical all game long, that shooting that 3, that's different when you're tired mentally and physically because it's been a battle. Guys been beating you up all day long, right? So just hold, like I said, I'm hoping that the league they just allow guys to come in who are going to offer some resistance. And because I think that Victor Wembanyama is putting the league in a position and putting teams in a position where as though they're going to have to level up. They're going to have to think of ways to combat what Victor Wembanyama bring to the table. They're going to have to think of ways to make Victor Wembanyama do anything different than something different than what he's comfortable doing. And part of that is playing physical. I watched Victor Wembanyama go up against what's the guy name? Zion, right? And Zion Williams is so strong and so powerful and just runs right through him and was dunking all on him, right? And that just reminded me, like, that's, like you just have so many different body types and so many different basketball players with different skills, and everybody have a different strength to their game. It's like Mortal Kombat, and so you have to you each person presents a different challenge. But right now, the type of challenge that Victor Wembanyama needs, or that teams need to combat him, that's not in the league right now. It's just not in the league. It's not a whole lot of it. Like, that power forward position is not in the league. Everybody had big power forwards back in the day because you didn't have no choice but to have a big power forward. And so that's why Victor Wembanyama is running roughshod over the league. That's why Victor Wembanyama is something that Carmelo Anthony has never seen before. Because you just imagine if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had been in the NBA with no resistance, it would have been the same thing. It would have been the same thing. Nobody could stop him. We've seen what happened to guys that 7 feet, 7 foot, and play in eras like that where people could just get physical with him. And that's Ralph Sampson, right? Ralph Sampson was 7 feet 4 inches tall, was a straight athlete, and guys could get physical with him. And so his skill set was a little bit offset by what guys could do with him, because he could do everything Victor Wembanyama could do, but guys were going to get physical with him, and so that's what that's all about, man. And people, I'm not hating on him. I'm glad that Victor Wembanyama is having the success that he's having, because, like I said, it's going to cause the rest of the league to make an adjustment, and then that's when you're going to get back to playing some good basketball, right? And so that's where the NBA, in my opinion, that's where they're headed to. And yeah, so that's all I got on this, man. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video. Peace.